Hi guys, Lynn Cox here, stress and performance anxiety expert. I'm coming to you from the stairs. So wanted to hop on. Been meaning to talk about this subject matter for a little while. So a couple of interesting things happened to raise the issue of focus and having really good focus and attention. So first off, I'll start by saying one conversation very recently, as well as one interview that I saw on London Real with a gentleman named Dan DePani, just brought this up to me, and I thought I really got to talk about this subject matter because it relates so much to people who experience the symptoms of stress, anxiety, worry, depression, procrastination, and so forth. So Dan DePani, I haven't read anything that he's written, but the gist of his deal is he lived as a monk for 10 years. He's, I think, a pretty popular expert on ways to be, happier, more at peace, etc., etc. So in his conversation with Brian Rose, he was talking about this idea that in our culture in particular, so many of us feel stress, anxiety. The number of diagnoses of ADHD as well have just skyrocketed through the roof. And he made a really good point. Now, I'm not here to talk about official diagnoses. I don't do that myself. I work with people around their symptoms, and I'm not anti-pharmaceuticals. Some people, really need them and do well with them. I'm a supportive therapy. But what Dan DePani did say, and I do wholeheartedly agree with this perspective, is that most of us aren't taught how to properly focus. So he was giving the example of living in the monastery where they learned how to sleep, how to get themselves into a deep, restful sleep state, learned how to have 100% focus on any task at hand, whether it was cooking food, sweeping the floor, etc., etc. And his point was, if somebody's experiencing what might be considered ADHD, it might be wise to first, before getting a diagnosis and trying pharmaceuticals, to try to actually learn how to focus your attention. There's absolutely a deficit of that practice, I would say here. Our phones being one, modern life that we live, the corporate work culture makes it very difficult to become singularly focused on something at hand. That's one of the things about, I'm panting here. It's one of the things I love about martial arts training is it requires very deep focus in order to notice everything that you're doing and everything that's going on. And I just had a client conversation. I'm going to see this person tomorrow. And one of her complaints was, she runs multiple businesses, and she had said she was losing her ability to multitask and was feeling very scattered and not productive. And I said, well, not multitasking, that's a great thing. For most things that require attention and thought, multitasking isn't a good idea. I mean, right now I'm doing stairs and talking into my phone. I probably should just be focused on doing stairs. However, if I were having a consultation with a potential client, a conversation, or a session, I'm singularly focused on the person in front of me, hearing what they're saying, looking at their face for nonverbal cues, listening to their tone. And something else happens when we really focus. It almost can make time seem like it's standing still. And if you can bring yourself into that state, it's very calming for the nervous system. There are many ways to learn how to focus, to practice focusing. The most simple things like leave your phone behind when you're going for a walk. You know, if you're working in a office environment where it's not critical that you be rapid fire responding, which I know a lot of people expect, but also people can become trained to not expect that. Only answer your emails twice a day and have a notification on your email that that's what you do. Let people know if it's something's urgent, perhaps to instead phone or text message you. And then practicing things like meditation, body work like yoga, martial arts, and many other things. A lot of people go into a very meditative state when they run as well and can become highly focused. You know, there's a multitude of ways to increase your focus, and maybe it's not necessary to jump to a diagnosis like ADHD and I need to be medicated. Oops, lost one of my headphones here. And no disrespect to medical doctors. I've just seen so many other methods work well for people for heightening their focus, for relaxing their nervous system, for having more joy, experiencing more joy in the day-to-day things that they do, that I do believe focusing more on focus and attention is always a great practice. So I'm so super jazzed to see this client tomorrow for our session. And she laughed when I said, yeah, that's great. You're not multitasking because that's not going to make you more productive at all. So it should be a great session. I'm definitely going to check out a little bit more on this Dan DePani gentleman to see what he has to say on the subject matter. But I think multitasking has been disproved as a, effective way to operate, especially when it comes to, business and work. And so those are my thoughts on focus, procrastination, calming your nervous system down. Maybe check out this Dan DePani. I am going to, and reach out if you have any questions. Have a great night.